Released in Japan in December of 1994, with other regions the following year, Sony's PlayStation revolutionized gaming with its 32-bit architecture, offering enhanced graphics and faster processing. Initially a competitor to the Sega Saturn and Nintendo 64, the PlayStation was used to introduce still iconic franchises such as Metal Gear Solid, Tomb Raider, and Resident Evil, among others. In this series of videos, I will present my personal top 25 games for the PlayStation, in order of preference. These are from my own personal history with the system and its library throughout the years, and not meant to be any sort of definitive best of list. So here are the first 10 of my top 25 games for the Sony PlayStation. Deception 3: Dark Delusion continues the unique trap-based gameplay of its predecessors, offering a darker and more refined experience. The game's graphics, for their time, managed to create a captivating atmosphere with detailed, gothic environments. The character designs, especially for the enemies and traps, maintain a distinct, eerie charm that complements the game's overall theme. The sound design is one of Deception 3's strongest features. With a fitting, unsettling soundtrack and ominous sound effects, they lay the foundation for the disturbing events of the game's story. Outside of a few select pre-rendered cutscenes, the game lacks any voice acting and is driven purely by text. The soundscape, however, is effective in enhancing the eerie, suspenseful mood of the game. In terms of gameplay, Deception 3 refines the series' core mechanic, setting traps to eliminate enemies. The variety of traps and how they can be strategically combined for different effects is still engaging, offering a mix of creativity and tactical thinking. The combat system is more fluid than in previous entries, but the pacing can still sometimes feel slow, especially with the game's reliance on waiting for enemies to fall into traps. While this makes for a unique and challenging experience, it can slowly become repetitive. Replayability is quite strong, as the game offers multiple paths and endings based on your choices and how you approach various missions. Unlocking new traps and abilities adds incentive to revisit the game and experiment with different strategies. The protagonist, Reina, is a compelling character with a mysterious backstory, but the story itself feels somewhat secondary to the trap-based gameplay. Overall, Deception 3 is an enjoyable experience for fans of strategy games, offering a distinct blend of tactical challenge and atmospheric design. Released in arcades in 1997 and the following year on the PlayStation, Tekken 3 is widely regarded as one of the best entries in the Tekken series, offering fast-paced, fluid combat and a roster of memorable characters. The game's graphics were quite impressive for the era on home console, with highly detailed character models and smooth animation that made the action feel more lifelike. The environments are well designed, with varied and unique looks in each stage that add to the excitement of the fights. The varied soundtrack complements the intense action. The music is upbeat and energetic, fitting the tone of the game's fast-paced combat. Sound effects, from punches and kicks to character-specific attacks, are impactful and help sell the weight of each strike. The voice acting is fairly minimal, but the distinct grunts and battle cries do add to the immersion. Fun factor is at the heart of Tekken 3, with the tight, accessible combat system that rewards both newcomers and experienced players. The game's roster is diverse, offering a variety of fighting styles and character personalities, from the powerful Paul Phoenix to the agile Nina Williams. The addition of new characters and moves adds depth to the gameplay, making each fighter feel distinct and allowing for a wide range of strategies. Replayability is high, thanks to the depth of the combat system and the inclusion of a wealth of unlockable characters, stages, and minigames. Overall, Tekken 3 is a near-perfect fighting game of the era, with a balanced mix of accessibility and depth. While its age shows in some areas, it remains a timeless classic within this long-running franchise. Galerians is a survival horror game which combines elements of psychological horror, action, and adventure. The game's story centers around Rion, a young man suffering from amnesia, who finds himself in a nightmarish world filled with mysterious experiments, strange powers, and deadly enemies. The graphics feature a mix of pre-rendered backgrounds and 3D character models, creating a dark and immersive atmosphere. The environments are gritty and industrial, with futuristic, cyberpunk-inspired designs that help emphasize the game's eerie, dystopian setting. Character models are angular and often unsettling, with the game's dark art style adding to the horror elements. Lighting, shadows, and high contrast further heighten the sense of tension. The sound design plays a significant role in building the oppressive atmosphere, with eerie sound effects and unsettling noises creating a feeling of dread. The voice acting, though dated, contributes to the overall sense of unease. The music, composed by Hiroshi Fujioka, features an ambient, atmospheric score that complements the game's dark tone, enhancing moments of tension and horror. Gameplay in Galerians involves navigating through various environments, solving puzzles, and battling enemies using Rion's psychic powers. Rion's abilities, such as tele and pyrokinesis, can be used strategically in combat and puzzle solving. The game also introduces a unique mechanic where players must manage his mental condition while dealing with enemies and environmental hazards. Galerians explores themes of identity, memory, and control, delving into psychological horror and the consequences of genetic experimentation. Its unsettling atmosphere and dark narrative make it a unique experience in the PS1's horror genre. Released in 2000, Fear Effect is a stylish adventure game that blends intriguing narrative elements with unique visual design and innovative gameplay mechanics. Taking place in a cyberpunk-inspired setting, the game stands out for mixing traditional survival horror and action elements, offering a tense and engaging experience. Graphically, Fear Effect is visually striking, with a cel-shaded art style that gives the game a comic book-like appearance. This distinctive style was ahead of its time and contributes significantly to the game's atmosphere, creating a visually immersive world that feels both futuristic and gritty. The pre-rendered backgrounds are detailed, and the character models, while somewhat stiff, are effectively rendered to match the game's dark, cyberpunk aesthetic. The sound and music of Fear Effect are atmospheric, intense, and integral to its cinematic presentation. The game features a haunting, electronic soundtrack with a mix of ambient tones, tension-building rhythms, and dramatic orchestral swells, reflecting its neo-noir, cyberpunk setting. The music often enhances the mood of each scene, shifting from eerie and suspenseful to action-packed and urgent. Sound design also plays a significant role, with sharp, dynamic effects heightening the sense of danger, whether it's the clatter of footsteps on metal floors, the hiss of gunfire, or the unsettling scuffling of enemies. Voice acting, though limited, adds a human element to the narrative. The overall audio design of the game is fairly well crafted, creating an immersive, tension-filled atmosphere that complements the game's themes of mystery and adventure. In terms of gameplay, it combines survival horror exploration with a more action-oriented focus. Players control 3 different characters, each with their own unique abilities, navigating through complex environments filled with enemies and puzzles. The fixed camera angles can be frustrating at times, especially in the heat of combat, but the shooting mechanics and puzzles offer a satisfying challenge. The game's story, centered around a mix of Chinese mythology and cyberpunk elements, provides a gripping narrative with mature themes and well-developed characters. Overall, Fear Effect is a visually striking and atmospheric adventure that stands out for its unique art style and action horror blend. Xenogears was released in 1998. It is a standout RPG that blends intricate storytelling with unique gameplay, offering an unforgettable experience for fans of the genre. Graphically, Xenogears is a product of its time, featuring detailed 2D character sprites and lush, pre-rendered backgrounds that were impressive for the PlayStation. The visuals still evoke a strong sense of atmosphere, especially during the game's many cutscenes, which are beautifully animated in the spirit of the era. The character designs are distinct, with artist Tetsuya Takahoshi's unique style giving the game a memorable visual identity. The soundtrack is one of the game's strongest aspects. The music ranges from serene and ambient to epic and dramatic, perfectly complementing the game's emotional highs and lows. Tracks like Small Two of Pieces and Faraway Promise have become iconic among RPG fans, adding depth and emotion to key moments in the narrative. The gameplay is a mix of traditional turn-based combat and mech battles. The standard combat system is engaging, with a combo mechanic that encourages tactical thinking, while the gear, mech, battles are a thrilling variation that adds an extra layer of strategy and excitement. The game's combat can sometimes feel slow, but the system's depth rewards patience. What truly sets Xenogears apart is its story. The narrative is complex, blending philosophical themes, psychological exploration, and religious symbolism. The world building is rich, with political intrigue and deep character arcs, making it one of the most ambitious RPGs of its era. Overall, Xenogears is a deeply rewarding, albeit occasionally challenging game. Its innovative mechanics, compelling story, and unforgettable music make it a must-play for fans of classic RPGs. Released in 2000, Kudelka is a lesser-known gem in the RPG genre, offering an intriguing blend of traditional turn-based combat and survival horror elements. The game's graphics get the job done in portraying an eerie atmosphere with detailed pre-rendered backgrounds. The character models, while detailed, are animated a touch stiff, but the gothic horror-inspired setting adds a unique charm, evoking the feel of a supernatural thriller. The dark, decaying monastery where much of the game takes place enhances the creepy ambience, offering a visually striking contrast to more traditional RPG settings. The sound design contributes significantly to the atmosphere, with a haunting and moody soundtrack that amplifies the tension, especially during moments of high danger. The voice acting is often stilted and awkward, yet this adds a certain charm to the game. The performances, while unpolished, create a unique atmosphere, enhancing the eerie, melancholic tone of the story and making it more memorable. The sound effects, such as creaking doors and distant whispers, effectively contribute to the eerie, unsettling tone of the game. While Kudelka remains somewhat obscure compared to more famous RPGs of its time, its blend of survival horror with RPG mechanics sets it apart. The game's emphasis on resource management, combat, and puzzle solving creates an atmosphere of constant dread. The limited inventory and the need to conserve healing items add a layer of strategy and tension reminiscent of survival horror classics. With the game being named after her, Kudelka herself is an intriguing and mysterious protagonist. With a clear air of sexy allure, portrayed through both her design and attitude, her complexity as a character make her more than just a simple beauty, as she plays a key role in the game's story. As a precursor to the PlayStation 2 series Shadow Hearts, Kudelka is a fine if somewhat overlooked RPG which blends horror, strategy, and character-driven storytelling in a way that makes it worth seeking out for fans of both genres. Released in 1999, Crash Team Racing is a fun and energetic kart racing game that holds up as one of the PlayStation's most beloved titles. Developed by Naughty Dog, it offers a fast-paced experience packed with charm, vibrant visuals, and tight controls, which can be fun for single and multiplayer sessions. The graphics are colorful and full of personality, with each track set in a distinct, imaginative environment. Whether racing through a lush jungle or on a futuristic space station, the visuals are bright and playful, perfectly matching the game's whimsical tone. The character designs are just as vibrant, with Crash Bandicoot and his roster of quirky friends and foes each bringing their own flair to the race. Despite the technical limitations of the PlayStation hardware in its twilight years, the game impresses with its crisp visuals and smooth animation. The music and sound design are upbeat and energetic, with catchy tunes that enhance the racing experience. The sound effects, from sputtering engines to the quirky voices of the characters, add to the fun and light-hearted atmosphere, keeping players immersed in the action. In terms of gameplay, Crash Team Racing stands out with its tight and responsive controls, making it easy to pick up, yet challenging to master. The game offers a variety of modes, including time trials, battle arenas, and a single-player adventure mode. The inclusion of power-ups, such as speed boosts and weapons like rockets or bombs, adds an exciting layer of strategy, making each race unpredictable. The kart drift mechanic, which allows for precise turns and boosting, is one of the standout features, offering skilled players an edge. The game's multiplayer mode also shines, allowing for competitive split-screen racing. Whether playing solo or with up to 3 friends for 4-player mayhem, Crash Team Racing provides hours of addictive fun and laughs. Ultimately, Crash Team Racing excels in delivering a thrilling, entertaining joyride that still remains a fan favorite for its graphics style, engaging gameplay, quirky characters, and lasting appeal. Vagrant Story was released in 2000, and is a unique and ambitious action RPG from then Squaresoft. Set in the dark, intricately designed world of Ivalice, known for its rich narrative, deep gameplay mechanics, and striking visuals, it stands out as one of the PlayStation's most memorable titles. Vagrant Story's graphics are beautifully detailed, with atmospheric environments and intricate character designs. The game's use of 3D polygonal models and dynamic camera angles gives it a distinct, immersive look. The lighting effects and distinctive art style gives the game a unique, almost cinematic feel, making it visually captivating and immersive despite the limitations of the PlayStation hardware. The music, by renowned composer Hitoshi Sakamoto, complements the game's moody atmosphere with sweeping orchestral scores that evoke tension and drama. The general sound design is also noteworthy, with ambient noises that enhance the feeling of isolation and danger. The game stands out with its complex real-time combat system and grid-based active time battle mechanics. Players engage in battles where positioning, timing, and weapon choice are critical. The game features an extensive weapon crafting system, allowing players to combine materials to create customized weapons and armor, which adds a layer of strategy. While the combat can be daunting at first, the depth of its systems rewards patient players. Vagrant Story is connected to other titles set in the world of Ivalice. It shares lore and thematic elements with other titles, such as Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy XII. The shared universe, including political intrigue, dark magic, and complex character motivations, ties them all together, though Vagrant Story is a more isolated experience. Overall, Vagrant Story excels in its narrative, world-building, and gameplay depth, making it a must-play for fans of complex RPGs, despite its sometimes steep learning curve. Its intricate systems and immersive atmosphere remain a standout in the genre. Tomb Raider 2 is a solid sequel that builds upon the foundation laid by the original Tomb Raider while offering more action, puzzles, and exploration. The graphics, though dated by today's standards, were fairly impressive for the time, with well-rendered environments that take players on a global adventure, from the icy peaks of Tibet to the sunken ruins of Venice. The environments feel immersive, and the attention to detail, particularly in the architecture and backgrounds, adds a sense of depth to the exploration. The sound design is another highlight to the game, with a moody, atmospheric soundtrack that enhances the sense of adventure and danger. The ambient sounds, from the creaking of old buildings to the growls of distant enemies, contribute to the immersive experience. While the voice acting is minimal, Lara Croft's iconic grunts and shouts during action sequences are memorable and help to solidify her status as a gaming icon. The fun factor in Tomb Raider 2 lies in its blend of platforming, exploration, and combat. Solving puzzles and navigating treacherous environments is rewarding, while the inclusion of series staple weapons, like the dual pistols, shotgun, and others, add excitement to the action sequences. However, the controls can feel stiff, clunky, and unresponsive at times, making the combat frustrating due to stiff enemy AI and limited movement. Despite these issues, the sense of adventure and discovery keeps the gameplay engaging. Lara Croft continues to shine as the protagonist, her cool, determined persona solidifying her as one of the most iconic video game characters of all time. While the game shows its age in more than a few areas, Tomb Raider 2 remains an enjoyable and influential action-adventure title with plenty of challenging moments and memorable locations. Chrono Cross is a captivating RPG that builds upon the legacy of its 16-bit predecessor Chrono Trigger, which was released on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Offering a fresh, innovative follow-up while maintaining the charm of Chrono Trigger, the visual design of Chrono Cross is absolutely stunning for its time. Featuring vibrant, colorful environments and beautifully designed characters. The pre-rendered backgrounds and lush, detailed landscapes create an immersive world that's a joy to explore. The art direction, particularly in the world design, stands out, with unique, dreamlike settings that reflect the game's thematic depth. The soundtrack is a masterclass, with a rich and atmospheric score that complements the game's emotional beats. The music, ranging from haunting melodies to upbeat tunes, and everything in between, helps set the tone for each area and narrative moment, enhancing the overall experience. The engaging fun factor of Chrono Cross lies in its unique battle system, which is tactical and engaging, focusing on elements like stamina, elemental magic, and a large roster of characters, each with their own abilities and personalities. The story revolves around themes of parallel worlds and time travel, is thought-provoking and full of twists, offering a deep, emotional journey. While the narrative can be complex and somewhat hard to follow, it rewards players who put in the time and thought, and enjoy unraveling intricate plots. Replayability is high, thanks to the game's vast cast of characters totaling over 40, multiple endings, and hidden content. Players can experiment with different party compositions and choices, leading to varied outcomes and encouraging exploration. Overall, Chrono Cross is a visually stunning and musically rich RPG with a compelling, if complex, story. Its innovative mechanics and engaging world make it a standout title. Though its narrative complexity may be a barrier for some, it will be a breath of fresh air for others.